There's a lot of people that'll say The Flash is probably the best show on the CW. And to that I say, no, Supergirl is the best show on the CW. And the reason why is the second episode of season 2 is amazing. The first episode of season 2, also amazing, but this episode blew my mind even more so than the last one did. Tyler Hoechlin as Superman, still perfect. Melissa Benoist as Supergirl, so awesome. I love Supergirl so much. Everything that happened in this episode was fantastic. The writing was great. The acting was amazing. The pacing was so well done. And even the score, which I never talk about, was awesome. So many great things went down in this episode, and I absolutely loved it. Now, before I get into the nitty-gritty of the episode, and there will be spoilers for this review, all of my Supergirl reviews will have spoilers, but I want to just say one fun fact that I caught. So, Brenda Strong is playing an unnamed Cadmus agent at the moment, and she's kind of acting as our main villain right now. And I really like Brenda Strong's character a lot. I think she's really interesting, and I'm really curious to see where they're going to be going with the character. But Brenda Strong played Mary Alice Young on Desperate Housewives, and she was essentially the narrator for most of the episodes, and she would sometimes get a cameo appearance. But what has me really thinking here is Brenda Strong was on Desperate Housewives. Neil McDonough, who played Damien Dark in Arrow Season 4, was on Desperate Housewives Season 5. Then, also, Terry Hatcher played Lois Lane on The Adventures of Lois and Clark. And also, Dana Delaney voiced Lois Lane in The Adventures of Superman, the animated TV show back in the 90s. And also, I believe the actor who played Mike Delfino was the voice of Superman in All-Star Superman, the animated movie. So we have a lot of Desperate Housewives actors dealing with DC properties. And I think that's really, really interesting because essentially they were working for the Disney company and now they're working for the CW, which is, they're ABC's rival. So I thought that was actually really interesting, and I just wanted to quickly note that. So what happened in this episode? This episode had a lot going for it, and it was just so well done, as I already said. So I guess I'm going to talk about it in terms of what happened with Kara and the certain people that she interacted with. So we have Kara and Kat, Kara and Alex, Kara and Wynn, kind of, but mostly Alex and Wynn. And then we have Kara and Clark, and then we have Kara and Metallo. And they were all very, very well done interactions. Now, Kara and Kat tells Kara that she is leaving. And Kara essentially breaks down. She doesn't want Kat to leave, and I love it. Callista Flockhart is so great. And in all honesty, I kind of empathize with Kara because I don't want Callista Flockhart to leave Supergirl. She's one of my favorite characters on Supergirl. She's in my top 3 favorite characters of the show. She's so good. And the fact that she's leaving is kind of a bummer, but I am looking forward to seeing her when she comes back. I know because the show moved up to Canada that Callista Flockhart doesn't want to be up there due to the commute and whatnot from LA. But I really am looking forward to Kat's next appearance and how she'll be able to influence Kara even more. She had some great lines with Kara, and one of them in the beginning when Kara was actually Kara, not when she was Supergirl, she essentially told Kara to, go deal with Snapper Carr. Snapper Carr got his first introduction in the in the DC television universe, and he's Kara's new boss, and he gave Kara a very hard time. That resolution happened at the end of the episode. It was very well done. Kara gave her a piece on the Metallo attacks, or gave him a piece on the Metallo attacks, I should say. And I liked it. You knew that Kara would essentially resolve the issues with Snapper Carr. He's going to be kind of like, I'm not calling him an antagonist, but he's going to be antagonistical to her at work because he doesn't like her. He flat out said he doesn't like her. And that's actually really interesting that Kara has someone at work who doesn't like her, and also, I almost called him Tom Felton. Barry Allen has someone at work who doesn't like him, who is Tom Felton or Julian on The Flash, which I thought was really interesting. So they're both working with characters that don't like the main superhero. So that's actually kind of funny. So Kat gives Kara some advice. She said, essentially, pick up your pants and take action. Get Snapper Carr to accept who you are. And she did that. And then at the end of the episode, Kara, as Supergirl, talked to Kat, and just those interactions were also so well done. So this was the last episode with Callista Flockhart, and we're not going to get to see her really give Kara that extra push that she needs, but I really hope that Kat Grant's influence will stick with Kara. So Kara had some really fun interactions here with Alex. Now, Alex is a character that I think is really interesting in the sense that I like her, but at the same time, I don't like her. I don't want to get any, why do you hate Alex? Alex is a great character. I do think she's a very good character. She's very much able to balance off Kara. But in season 1, I felt that she should have been in more of a supporting actor role as opposed to a main cast. And she got great development in this episode. She talked to Win a lot. She had a great couple. She had a couple of great jokes with Win, which were really interesting. I really like that. And you can actually see a couple sparks of a relationship between the two of them, though I doubt they'll go in that direction. Alex was essentially very jealous of the way that Clark got treated by Kara. Clark is idolized by Kara. Kara loves him very, very much, and Alex really doesn't understand why Kara would give him that treatment. And in the end, Kara said, he's like me, and I need someone around who's like me. But then, at the end of the day, Alex, was with Kara her whole life, and Alex even said that Clark abandoned you as a kid. And it's a very dicey situation to get into, but Alex and Kara resolved their issues, and it was a beautiful scene when they resolved it. But the scene in which they resolved their issues, I have to say, kind of reminded me of the Snyderverse, because in a couple of in that scene, it was very, very dark. It was the only scene in the episode where it was dark. And normally Supergirl is normally very, very bright. And this is a very, very dark scene for such a very important emotional reunion. So I thought that was very interesting that they decided to go with that particular color palette. Now, Clark and Kara had some very fun moments. In the beginning of the episode, which, by the way, who is committing crimes in National City? You have Supergirl there, and she's going to stop you. If you're robbing a bank or robbing anything, really, what is wrong with you? In this episode, Supergirl and Superman stopped a robbery, and I was kind of laughing. And obviously the robbery was there for comedic timing and whatnot, essentially giving Kara and Clark something to team up and stop. But I'm like, really? Do people not have common sense there? I mean, come on, let's not rob anything in that area. Then they also took out a fire, which makes sense, and fires happen. So that was cool. But Clark and Kara just have such great interactions together. I think Melissa Benoist is able to really play off of Tyler Hoechlin and vice versa. They just are so, so good. But what's interesting here is when they were fighting the Metallos, they were really divided. Now, there was the first scene when John Corbin came back after being resurrected by Cadmus, and Metallo blasted Superman, and then Supergirl fought back. And what's great here is a lot of people were afraid with Superman's interactions on Supergirl, he would take away the spotlight. He got hurt, and then she had to save him, but then she got really hurt saving him, and then Superman pushed Metallo away, and then somehow he got back to Cadmus, and then Supergirl, then he picked up Supergirl, and there was that whole moment from the Crisis comic, and that was a really, really powerful scene. Now, after Supergirl gets hurt by Metallo, they go back to the DEO, and essentially Superman and the Martian Manhunter need to resolve the issues that they have, because they're pretty, pretty bad. And I actually thought that Superman and the Martian Manhunter's issues wouldn't have gotten resolved so fast, but they did. So they go to the Fortress of Solitude, and the Martian Manhunter talks about how he was the last of a race, and essentially Superman's last of a race. This episode is titled The Last Children of Krypton, and Kara and Clark are the last two kids from Krypton, since all the other Kryptonians, I believe, are dead. I miss Ann Astor, by the way. I know that she died in episode 13 or 14 of season 1, and I never got to really talk about her besides my long review. But Astor was such a great character, and I really hope she comes back, at least in a flashback or some way, because I thought she was so, so, so cool. So anyway, Clark and the Martian Manhunter are discussing, essentially being the last of a race. And more or less, they're able to resolve their issues. And I really like that. I was very happy that Superman and the Martian Manhunter are two of the founding members of the Justice League, and you just can't have them at each other's throats. The reasons why they were squabbling was very, very well defined, but I'm glad in the end they were able to work it out. Now, after Superman was able to hurt Metallo, the Cadmus decided to make a second Metallo. So now we have two Metallos. We had an Asian Metallo, and then we had John Corbin's Metallo. And Superman and Kara tricked Cadmus into thinking that they were going back to their own cities. And then Cadmus essentially sent the individual Metallos to National City and Metropolis, and Supergirl and Superman had to fight them. But Alex teamed up with Supergirl in her armor that she used to fight Supergirl in the end of season 1, and Superman had the Martian Manhunter. Superman and the Martian Manhunter teaming up was amazing. I thought that was so, so cool. And Alex teaming up with Supergirl, also very cool. In the end, they were able to defeat the Cadmus Metallos, which was very good. And now Superman didn't say anything to John Corbin's Metallo, he didn't fight John Corbin. He fought the Asian Metallo. But Supergirl got to fight John Corbin, which was very cool. And then at the end of the fight, Supergirl said to Corbin, who's a robot and whatnot, she said, "I'm coming for you, Cadmus." Now, Cadmus is viewing Supergirl and Superman as a threat because they're essentially viewing them as demons, which is really interesting. It's kind of how Lex Luthor sort of viewed it in Superman and Batman v Superman. So I'm really curious to see where else Cadmus is going to go with this, what other villains they're going to be throwing at them. But Superman goes back to Metropolis. They defeat the, what happens, as we all can essentially interpret from my discussion, is Supergirl and Superman defeat the individual Metallos. They send a message to Cadmus, knowing Cadmus is going to come back. Oh, also, by the way, there's just another scene before that I want to just quickly mention. Kara and Alex have a very minor falling out because Alex is essentially jealous of Kara. Alex goes after a DEO agent who has gone defunct and given kryptonite to Cadmus. Alex almost dies, and then she gets saved by Supergirl. And I really did enjoy all those scenes. That was a scene when it was very, very dark. So, in the end, Superman goes back to Metropolis, and Kara stays in National City. And then we have a scene where Kara's in the DEO talking to Mon-El. Now, Mon-El was the only character in this episode I really didn't talk about too much. By the way, James Olsen came in at the very end, and apparently he has Cat Grant's job. I don't know how he's qualified to do Cat Grant's job, but I guess I'll go with it. I don't really want that to happen. James is probably my least favorite character. He really did nothing in this episode, and I'm okay with that. Wynn was much more productive. He made suits to allow Kara and Superman to be resistant to Metallo's kryptonite blast. So at the end of the episode, Kara is talking to Mon-El, and then Mon-El wakes up and starts to choke Kara, and we don't even get like an end credit sequence, so I'm really curious to see what's going to be happening there. Mon-El and Kara, I hope, will have a really cool relationship. I'm really looking forward to seeing how they're going to interact and whatnot. So overall, I thought today's episode was fantastic. I love how it ended. It has a very, very strong cliffhanger with Kara being choked, but more or less, she will be able to resolve her issues with Mon-El. Lucy Lane obviously was in this episode, but neither was Lena Luthor. And I'm actually really curious to see where Lena Luthor will go and what's going to be happening with Mon-El. The Mon-El mystery has now essentially been brought to light, brought to the screen. So what did you guys think of this episode of Supergirl? I thought it was fantastic, very, very strong, even stronger than the season premiere. I'm very sorry for all my stammering and whatnot. I just got very, very excited, and I really hope that you enjoyed my review. Please leave your thoughts about Supergirl in the comments below. And by the way, this is the 400th video on my channel, which is very, very cool. I can't believe I posted 400 videos. So anyway, share your thoughts about Supergirl, and we'll talk about the next episode next week. All right, guys. Bye.